In the glorious US of A, incredible things are happening as well. You see, Donald Trump W's aren't just happening overseas, they're happening here too. This was put out by the Cato Institute, who hates Trump, but they can't hide the facts. The Democrats were a disaster on the border, and we were the best in the history of the USA. President Donald J. Trump. We gotta talk about the immigration W's that have been happening, because unfortunately, a lot of the people that like freaking out and like, basically telling horrible news, guys, terrible tragedy just happened, all those guys aren't going to report on the actual facts. So we have a lot of good news today that involve immigration. Like, for example, the fact that the border's closed. Like, this red graph, these are asylum seekers, right? So these are how asylum seekers are at 0 ever since Trump showed up, which is, by the way, awesome. And also, we got to talk about Johnny Somali actually going to jail. A Somali retard from America, unfortunately, who went to South Korea to harass people. He's in jail now there. Like, the 2026, year of the crusade, man. These people are going away. Now, my favorite thing is when Donald Trump posted this chart about how legal immigration is down to basically 0, like lots of libtards were losing their mind. Did you even understand that this chart before sharing it? You're bragging about reducing legal entries, not illegal ones. Oh, you absolute fucking retarded bitch. Yes, we're also super happy that we're diminishing legal immigration too. I'm so glad you paid attention. You see, every single illegal in the country needs to get deported, but we also don't need to accept that many legals too. We're full. I love how like the leftoid mind is just like a whole bunch of like unbelievable hormonal women and simps crying all their days on Twitter and shrieking and freaking out about how somehow it's America's obligation to let ourselves get raped by the third world. Heart-wrenching as it sounds, that's literally where we are. And fantastic news, the border wall is actually being built as well. Oh no, a wall on a border, I can't believe this. Yeah, I'm sorry, man, we take inspiration from the Vatican, which literally built border walls to keep Muslims out. Historically speaking, I'm not saying that's the purpose of our border walls, obviously, because, obviously we have a immigration problem for more than just Muslims.
And I just learned today that CBP says they will soon be at the milestone of 1 mile per day in new border wall.
Nice.
And that includes, by the way, a water barrier. So on the Rio Grande, they are putting a water barrier in place. There's 5 miles so far, but it's going to stretch all the way across to stop water-based human smuggling.
So a couple of things, Stephen. Everyone said this.
And then the leftists be like, no, but we love human smuggling. What about the child trafficked asylum seekers? Yeah, thank you. We know.
It's impossible to talk about immigration reform without sealing the border. Nobody I know, Democrat or Republican, who does not believe the border is sealed. Leads some to say, like farmers and meat packers, what about some of the illegals here that are helping my company? Which led Mike Lowell, a Republican in a battleground district, to roll out the Dignity Act. Here's a little of it.
Good.
It says if you've been here more than 5 years, so not the people that came under Joe Biden.
Even Republicans are trying to push this, and I think a lot of people are unaware how absolutely horrible the general Republican Party is. We need to actually start making a difference on a local level, man, because we have some real retards out there. Like, there was this new shit that just happened where basically you had 4 Republicans join with the Democrats to stop us from revoking the temporary protective status of Haitians. And it's like, my guy, we gotta get every single one of these people out, bro.
Disastrous administration. But the people who have been in this country more than 5 years, 10, 15, 20 years, whose children and grandchildren may in fact be American citizens, they would qualify if they have not committed a crime.
Like, this is like I am a Republican congressman with a massive vagina. We need to give citizenship to people because oopsie poopsie, a woman might cry. And it's like, my guy, take your vagina out of here, please.
They pay back taxes, they pay a fine, they have a job, and they do not collect government benefits.
I don't care.
They would qualify for a legal status, not citizenship.
I don't
a little
care.
about what he mentioned.
Get them all out, the Dignity Act. You want to know my incredibly hot take? Man, people are not going to like this one. I don't want them to have dignity. They broke the law. They invaded our country illegally. We need to get them out of there, and their dignity is irrelevant. Well, I don't want to give these people dignity. They didn't give a shit about me or my country or my people. Why should I give a shit about them? I'm sorry, man. I'm really tired of like this emotional gaslighting. Oh, but we need to give dignity to the people that raped you. No, we don't.
But here's some of the facts with the Dignity Act.
I don't care about the Dignity Act. All right, I don't care about any of this garbage. Like, these people are pathetic. It's unreal. Now, of course, the one of the major reasons why they want all these illegal aliens is because they want to do fraud. And I think this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. The California State Assembly is trying to advance the Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. Nick Shirley says California is trying to pass a bill that would criminalize investigative journalism with misdemeanors, $10,000 fines, imprisonment, and content takedown. This is insane. They're like, we want to do fraud and we want to get away with the fraud, so we're going to imprison anyone that investigates the fraud. Holy shit. Proposed bill is titled AB 2624. It was made after I exposed mass fraud by immigrant groups in America. Under AB 2624, government-funded entities like the Somali Leering Centers would be protected from being exposed if they operated inside California. The enemy is truly within. When our politicians would rather protect fraudsters and illegal migrants, it's time for us to stand up or face mass oppression from the traitors who rule over us. And he's just right here. And honestly, we got to destroy these people. Like, there's a large sentiment, and it's a growing sentiment that it's like, well, a lot of the Republicans aren't doing enough, and they're trying to come up with ways to actually be gay about shit and give amnesty to people and whatever. And I agree. So we need to get those people out of office and actually start electing some radical motherfuckers. The solution isn't vote Democrat so they can enslave us forever. But anyway, there is one fantastic immigration story, and that is Johnny Somali, complete fucking retard, man. The Somalis have been like one of the prime targets of this shit, because there is like zero upside to having Somalis in your country, it turns out. Oh no, Nux, that's racist. Is it though? Is it though? Well, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Show me an upside. Show me how America is better because we've imported hundreds of thousands of Somalis. Like, this is the most obvious group of people that doesn't want to assimilate, that just straight up makes our country worse. You know, people crying about the literacy rates dropping. Well, we're importing people with an average IQ of 67, and they get included in this consensus. And it's like, oh, the average literacy rate is dropping. Yeah, we're importing dumb fucks, man. It's a problem. Yeah, anyway, so Johnny Somali is an American who went to Korea to harass people, and he's in jail now. That's right. His court case ended, and he is actually in prison, and it's awesome.
I know for a fact I'm not going to go to jail. One day in jail. I'm going to laugh my off when all these motherfuckers are saying I'm going for 30 years, 20 years, 5 years, 10 years. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not even going to do 1 day, bro. They're going to give me a fine. They're going to say, don't come back to Korea. You're the one who's going to look so dumb when I don't.
Dude, I love how this guy is just the poster boy for Somali immigration at this point. He is easily the most famous Somali migrant of all time. Bro goes to Korea, ends up getting himself thrown in jail for being a complete piece of shit, you know, and he's talking shit the whole time. The Koreans are stupid, and he's better, and he's superior, and he's so much better, and Korea sucks, and North Korea is better than South Korea, and, you know, and this dude goes in, and he's talking up his big game, he's saying all the things, you know, this is exactly, you know, this dude with his bananas and rights really thinks he can go to another country and be superior. And my guy is in jail. It's just beautiful. Consequences are glorious.
I don't get any jail time or anything. Like, bro, I'm gonna laugh like a villain.
All right, so we got a lawyer that actually went to the court case, I think.
Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, has been sentenced to 6 months and 20 days in prison with.
Complete W, bro. Bro's gonna get raped by Ni Jing Chun over there, and it's gonna be fucking diabolical. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's gonna be evil. Now, again, I don't want Johnny Somali to get raped in prison. I'm just saying there's a high likelihood that his roommate will be a large, very fat, overweight, sweaty Korean man named Putin Kok. Like, I ain't gonna lie. If bro's roommate is Dong Suk, it's gonna be pretty diabolical.
Labor in Seoul, South Korea today. We're going to get that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be around judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney who's been tracking this from beginning to end. And today we're going to break out the exact reasons for the guilty plea, his imprisonment, his sentence, and what happens next. Let's get into what happened today in Seoul, South Korea. So first of all, to just get to my opening statements, Ramzi Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, was found guilty on all 8 charges. So there were 4 counts.
Wait. No shot. Bro, like, a lot of his charges are like disturbing of peace and shit, which is great, absolutely. But apparently, like, that means he's a sex offender. That means he's a registered sex offender. Oh my God. They threw the book at the, we need to treat immigrants this way too, man.
Counts of business obstruction, 2 counts of the Minor Crimes Act, and 2 counts of the deep fake distribution. Guilty.
You're being racist. No. I'm not being racist. These guys fucking suck, man. Like, come on, dude. All right, if you're coming into our country, you need to obey our laws. If you don't obey our laws, we're going to obliterate you. That's how it works. That's at least how it should work. All right, this infinite pussification of society to let these people get off of literally whatever they do, all right, it just makes them do more shit.
On all charges. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison with labor, an additional 20 days of detention, and 5 years of offender status, with his phones being permanently confiscated. But how did we get there? Well, we got there through a team effort. I started this in front of the same courtroom, and the photo here today is a photo, and once again, in front of that same.
I love it, dude. I love it. This is like a generational hater. He actually went to court to watch this dumb fuck go to jail. Absolute cinema.
Courtroom today, but it was a team effort. My team, the Somali conviction team, worked very hard submitting evidence, submitting facts, and really getting into it with this process where we wanted to have jail time instead of the normal process where foreigners are often just given a fine and let go.
God, that is so based. You know, God bless the citizens that are fighting for justice when the giant, slopping, drooling vaginas that are running society just want to let everyone off on shit forever. You know, if not for like people like Nick Shirley doing investigative journalism himself, you know, we would have never had this fraud task force actually start arresting people, and hundreds of people have already been arrested for fraud situations. You know, like if we wouldn't have like, you know, our absolute assholes in society driving people insane to actually enforce the law, the laws wouldn't be enforced. They would just let people get off of everything. Dude, this is cinema.
Which we thought could be a very, very real possibility if there was not more attention on this. And you can
completely true. And the moral of the story is that you matter. You viewer who think you don't matter, you do matter. God created you in his own image for a reason. And maybe it's not to harass Korean judges to make sure that they arrest Somalis. But if it is, then that is a truly worthwhile reason to be in this world. You've made your creator proud.
You can see we had Korean media which interviewed us, and many people from the team were there. You've got Professor Ulrich Nod, you've got Kingman Lee, who's showed up off of X. You've got Atozi, you've got myself, Gabe, another individual who showed up who saw the coverage. You've got Atozi's editor. Everybody worked together. This was a huge team effort. There are a lot of people that aren't even pictured in this that worked together to get this done. And because of the coverage of this, and also the coverage in Korean media, as you see here, that actually led to a different result than normal.
True.
But let's get into this.
And that is why citizen journalism is everything today, because we have the ability to annoy politicians into submission. That's right. We just gotta annoy the shit out of these people until they actually buckle to our whims. That's right. We have to threaten them. We have to outvote them. We have to install new, more radical people than they are. That's right. And when people say, Nux, you're radicalizing your audience, I say, yes, I hope so. I would love it if we could get some Old Testament justice brought back into society. I would love to bring back a more liberally used death penalty on murderers and child rapists. I would love it if vandals and thieves and burglars and fraudsters end up getting forced labor for years to pay up whatever damage they've done. Under my system, a truly colorblind, anti-racist system, it doesn't matter what color you are, you will be punished to the full extent of the law. And I have no mercy or loyalty to the politicians that refuse to enable that agenda, because they will lose their next elections. Because we, here, the citizen journalists of the world, need to come together and brutally humiliate the retards and losers to make sure that everyone knows exactly what they're voting for. Because you matter. The last thing any of these people in these positions of power actually want is a spotlight on their wrongdoing. So you know what? They're going to capitulate.
Trial facts itself. So how did the trial start?
All right, let's
go. Well,
go.
The trial started packed with observers. Now, the first time I came, there was hardly anybody in that courtroom about a year and a half ago. However, today, standing room only. People were standing, sitting on the floor, all there for Somali. They had to
all there to watch a Somali go to jail. Based, honestly, I would do it too.
Put up actually the red tape. They had to line people up. It was very, very much more chaotic than normal. Now, strict security was enforced. There was no phones or recording, as well as no reaction.
I love how Somali fatigue just got so fucking bad. Everyone just wanted to see this dude eat shit.
actions or expression. At one point, when someone smiled during the courtroom, the bailiff actually corrected them to, hey, no expressions.
Wow.
No, keep it serious, keep it somber. And the judge did remain the same throughout the trial. Now, the prosecutor did change in the spring from the older male prosecutor that was there before to a new female prosecutor, which was there today in this case. Now, what happened? Well, first, there was the guilty portion, because first they had to assess the guilt, because Ramsey had pled guilt on 6 of the charges, the business obstruction and the Minor Crimes Act, but still reasserted his non-guilty plea.
Bro didn't want to be a registered sex offender. Can't imagine why.
In the deepfakes. So the judge found Somali guilty on the deepfakes, as we predicted he would, because a reasonable person of the age and gender of the victims would experience shame at the deepfakes. The judge then went on to say, okay, you're guilty. Now let's talk about sentencing. And he said, in his opinion, there were both mitigating and aggravating factors for the sentencing of Somali. So the mitigating factors that he explained in this case were for that victims Jungmann and Hank Yu did not want Somali to be punished. And there has been a settlement with Jungmann that they tried to get the charges dropped. So they weren't dropped, but the judge did say he did factor that in for mitigation. They also said that victim Bong Bong did not experience severe shame or embarrassment. And had she experienced more severe embarrassment, perhaps
it was only moderate shame and embarrassment, I guess.
Harsh punishment. They also said, and this is very interesting, that the travel ban and the inability to return home were technical disadvantages for Somali. That was very curious to me, because if he had been allowed to leave and go home, he clearly would have not come back and not face any punishment, never gone to jail. He would have just not come back to Korea.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, these people are too weak. Too weak. But anyway, I don't care. This dude's in jail for 6 months.
However, he did bring up aggravating factors. The aggravating factors he brought up were that Somali repeatedly committed crimes primarily for YouTube revenue and broadcasted these with no regard for the victim. He also said that Somali showed clear disregard for...
Not gonna lie, bro. We introduced these people with an average IQ of 6'7" to the internet. And everything was worse since then. We gotta immediately cut off internet access to the third world, and society would become a utopia immediately. No more AI slop images from Pakistan talking about how Iran is winning the war against America. No more Tucker Carlson pandering to Islamic voters. No more people shaming you for Islamophobia when you're not a huge fan of rape happening in England every 54 minutes, in London specifically. All right, you know, like, we wouldn't have a Johnny Somali if... I'm not gonna lie. This dude wouldn't be out there harassing and people in public to the point that he became a registered sex offender. You know, if he wouldn't have had access to the internet. I'm telling you, man. Look, people are gonna say I'm racist, but they can't call me a liar.
For Korean law. And this is something he understood from the files that we, myself and the Somali conviction team, submitted to them, showing that he didn't care about Korean law, he disrespected the judge, the prosecutor, and really the Korean system at large. He said that the Korean system is an absolute joke, and because of that, he wanted to show how much of a joke it was.
Shout out to President Yoon. F the judge, f the prosecutor, y'all can suck my dick. Bitch ass niggas. Yeah, suck my dick on soft.
There's zero humility, and it just did him in.
Now, he also did bring up the risk of repeat copycat crimes, and saying that because Johnny Somali is a type of streamer which can be copied and repeated, this is a risk, and they need to set a precedent to deter other streamers from...
So based. All law needs to work like this. I love how it's just like, oh, you know, he might have copycats. Dude, if a guy gets away with murder, there will be copycats. If a guy gets away with vandalism, there will be copycats. The consequences are important not only to punish the individual, but to prevent other people from doing that crime, because they don't want to face those consequences too. Absolutely. There's always risk of copycat
coming in. Now, whether or not 6 months will actually deter people is up for debate. A lot of people, even myself included, think it's not severe enough to deter everybody, but perhaps it can be some sort of deterrent. But he did factor that in as an aggravating factor.
All right.
So when he handed down the sentence, he explained very clearly it was 6 months in prison with labor. That will be in a specialized prison for labor, also in a prison for offenders, because he had 5 years of offender status, so he can be no...
Bro's actually getting raped in jail. This is so fucking sad, dude. Oh my god. They're putting him in a sex offender jail for labor. He's so cooked. Bro and his prison mate Dong Suk are really gonna get along. They out there are gonna become best of friends. They're gonna know each other inside and out.
nowhere near women or children, and he also has to be away from certain types of locations as well. So he can't do all sorts of labor, but he will be laboring in prison. He also will have an additional 20 days of detention, and his phones are permanently confiscated. He will never get back that Galaxy or iPhone ever again. The judge also explained that there are several questions about flight risk and whether he would be immediately detained. They gave him the option to remain silent, but instead Johnny Somali decided to speak and
no shot. He's so retarded, bro. Bro. Never let a man with an IQ of 6'7" actually make his own life decisions.
Decided to lie even more. So when Somali spoke, the judge asked him if he was still a student. Somali lied. He said, yes, Arizona State University. We all know this is untrue. He hasn't been a student for quite a long time. The judge asked if there's any other reason why he should not be immediately detained. Somali said, I have family in my home country that I miss deeply. And I know I have to pay for my crimes, but I'd be grateful if you gave me a second chance because I think I can do better.
Sure.
Well, the judge kind of ignored this plea because it didn't actually answer the question of why he shouldn't be immediately detained. Of course, they're not going to let him go home. That's ridiculous. He's already been sentenced. The prosecutor stated, in fact, that he does pose a severe flight risk and should be detained immediately.
Agreed.
Now, he was given another chance to speak to kind of respond to the prosecutor. Somali again lied and said, throughout the court proceedings from 2025 to now, I have refrained from doing anything to harass the public. So I feel this has taught me a vital lesson.
Of
course, we know that's not true. We have the sexual harassment charges that were filed based on his activity during that period, and those are filed in the
this dude literally films himself sexually harassing people, and then he actually just goes to the judge and just lies into the camera. Dude, I'm getting flashbacks to like the Somali Leering Center in Minnesota. Bro goes to the camera and is like, I would show you my paperwork, but someone broke into my Leering Center and stole all the paperwork. Like, just straight up lie to the camera like that.
Eastern District. We also had several instances where he was harassing people in public, where he was insulting people, getting drunk. So we know that's not true. But the judge said, okay, really, that none of that is relevant. We're going to find a significant flight risk and detain him immediately.
Dang.
So the judge then explained that there's 7 days for both Somali or the prosecution to appeal. This is very important because the prosecution can find that this was too light. They recommended 3 years and he only got 6 months. So the prosecution has a chance to go back, go to the court and say, no, we need more time. We think this is not fair. Somali can also try to appeal this, but the thing is for Somali, where appeals really aren't going to work in his favor, is the average appeal takes about 6 months. So if Somali is angry about this, he has to appeal from jail. So while he'll be in jail, he'll be serving that time. By the time he would appeal it for saying it's too severe, well, his term will probably be up. He'll probably be at the end of his sentence where he's already served that prison labor. Now, the bailiff did a
I've been following this story for so long. I just keep saying, wake me when he's in jail. Wake me when he's in jail. He's in jail.
Somali out after that, after they explained the chance for appeal, the 7 days for appeal. His possessions were taken. Somali seemed to be prepared to go to jail as he brought a full backpack with all of his things, and he was handcuffed immediately and taken to a side room where he'll be bussed over to the detention center, and they'll eventually decide which prison to send him to. After Somali left the room and we saw him be, taken off and handcuffed, all the observers left. Now, Korean media was waiting outside, and myself, others, Atozi, we were interviewed about how we felt about it, and we gave our true opinion, which is we are happy that he was proven wrong, but we think that he deserved more time there.
Bro, they also, dude, the YouTubers just fucking going for the jugular.
Asked us if we were talking as YouTubers or Americans or whatever, and I answered that we're talking as people interested in the truth, and we're interested in revealing the Korean court process and getting the truth out there, both to Korea, Americans, everybody, and making sure he serves the time that he should serve and he's punished appropriately. So here's my judgment. Somali was proven wrong when he said, I promise you I won't spend 1 day in jail.
Well, yeah.
I know for a fact I'm not going to go to jail. Not 1 day in jail.
I'm going to show you guys how far I can push the boundaries, and I'm going to show you that the Korean government is not going to do anything to me.
Somali IQ level strategy over there.
Korean legal system is not as strong as people think and perceive it to be.
He's in jail right now, by the way.
It makes me very, very happy that Somali was once again proven wrong on that. However, objectively, 6 months and 20 days is a light sentence. At least 2 years would have been appropriate, particularly given the prosecution's recommendation of 3 years. That would have been a compromise where they didn't get the full
I felt like they figured he's a foreigner and he has a retarded level IQ. Are we really going to hold him for 3 years?
But they also didn't get a small amount. 6 months is too light. And because of that, we strongly encourage the prosecution to appeal, and we will be, along with the Somali conviction team, myself, encouraging the prosecutors to appeal. We also have the CHS, child sexual harassment charges, that are still floating out there in the Eastern District. We're going to be encouraging that district to bring those charges, because those charges can be brought while Somali is in jail, and that could result in him being in Korea for an even longer time.
That's crazy.
But I want to know what you guys think about.
I just love the fact that we got like the citizen journalists being like, no, stop being gigantic vaginas and jail this motherfucker. Serve him bananas and rice every day, all day, till he drops. Couple of real men in a world of vaginas. And that's why you matter. That's why every single one of us matters. Not only on some sort of metaphysical level, but quite literally, your voice and your strength make a difference. Democracy isn't a perfect system, but we're gonna abuse the shit out of it.